Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Craig Burley and Shaka Hislop. Only one place to start today's show, and that, of course, is the news that although that is a sacking we'll be talking about later. Ruben Amorim sacked as manager of Manchester United, just reflecting on what I think it's fair to say was a very disappointing tenure. Of course, he joined the club in November 2024. It took him 2 months to come out and say this is the worst team in club history. He then made it through, of course, the Europa League final, where he lost disappointingly against Spurs. They finished 15th in his first season. That's their worst finish since 1975. Then on Sunday, of course, after a slightly improved season, he came out and said that he was a manager, not a head coach, calling out the board, and then it just took the board less than 24 hours to announce his sacking. For more on this, Mario Malkiut joins us. But Oggy, I want to start with you. You take a look at this. Was the press conference yesterday the final nail in the coffin, or was he already dead and buried?
Well, I was at the press conference. I was at Leeds on Sunday, and I felt leaving the ground that was it. I thought he was done. And I expected him to be gone by the end of the week. I didn't think it'd be done today, but I'm not surprised he's gone. But I thought that was the final nail. But I've been told today by people at United that actually the die was cast before that it was this blowout with Jason Wilcox, the director of football, on Friday that kind of sealed his fate. But it was more a case of just basically the results, the performances, the inflexibility of his tactics, it was said to me, his immature reaction at times to requests or suggestions that he might change his formation. Now, I was told that when he got the job, in the interview he said, I will start with 3 at the back, but I will evolve and we will evolve and then we will kind of play a different way. And 12, 13 months on, he hadn't even suggested any change from his 3 at the back. So United felt that they were kind of giving this under false pretenses. But I mean, that's one side of the story. I think ultimately he's been a disastrous appointment. The results have been terrible. The tactics have been terrible. The performances have been worse. And I think what happened at Leeds on Sunday was the final nail, because you cannot come out and criticise your bosses publicly. You just can't do that. And I think he knew what he was doing as well. I think he knew that would lead to the end, as it did for Nuno at Forest, as it did to Maresca at Chelsea. This is the new way that coaches go, isn't it? They slag off the owners or the bosses, and they know that they're going to get sacked.
He wanted out, didn't he?
Well, that's what we said on yesterday's show.
Well, he'd wanted out for quite some time.
Yep.
Because he knew he was out his depth. He also knew that it was a club that's not being run properly, a club that haven't recruited properly. So he knew it wasn't all his fault, but he knew he could not stop the sort of poor performances and the decline. And yeah, they are in a much more reasonable position than they were obviously 12 months ago. And some would say, well, that's progress. But if you looked at the performances, and if you look at how bad the rest are, and if you look at how tight it is, that can change very quickly. He was just at the wrong movie. He was out his depth. And I go back to the game at Fulham last season. Even when you come up against players that you're finding difficult, you can't go to press conferences and talk about playing bus drivers in front of star players. Mm-hmm. Even if you're having an issue with those players, because that kind of rhetoric filters around the dressing room, and you lose the dressing room, players will lose trust in you. And it just showed me a manager who was incapable of dealing with the issues that were going to be thrown up by this club. So I'm not surprised. I mean, where United go is a different story. I don't even think they know, and I think that's part of the bigger issue. But in terms of Ruben Amorim as an individual managing this club, just too big for him.
Yeah, it's interesting. Craig mentions the bus driver reference. That was, of course, talking about Marcus Rashford. It seems like all the moves that he made to make a statement, to say I'm the boss, sticking to 3 at the back, obviously isolating the likes of Anthony, Mainu, the latest one, nothing worked.
No, it didn't, and now it's reflective in certainly last season's league position. Things have kind of turned for the better this time around. While the football hasn't been great and they've been disappointing results, there's still, 3 points off the top 4. But still, kind of give Amorim, and what you've seen from Manchester United, it hasn't been good enough, even if the league position might kind of suggest that they're on the up. Everything just happened so quickly, and there's so many parallels between this and the Maresca firing. It just speaks to, in defence of Amorim, if there is such a thing, of higher-ups within the football club, whether it's the ownership or the director of football or whoever else it is they have in the corner suites, wanting to have a direct impact on what's happening on the park, and managers kind of pushing back against that. Now they may feel that they need to have that kind of that input because of results haven't been good or whatever it may be. But from the time you have that blurring of lines, regardless of where you are on the league table, that's going to end in disaster. And in the last two cases, and in the manager getting the sack.
Not only did they finish 15th last year, which is a horrendous, between themselves and Tottenham, they were not that far above the relegation zone. Let's not forget, Manchester United went out of the EFL Cup to Grimsby Town this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's potentially a sacking offence on its own. And it wasn't a weak it wasn't, I say, a weak Manchester United side. They are a weak side. Yeah. It wasn't a Man United side with wholesale changes. A lot of their more experienced players played in this game. So at the end of the day, he knows he's known the writing's been on the wall at this club, and he was successful in Portugal. But you know what? Who cares? Who cares in England? They don't care what they do in Portugal.
Mario, your reaction?
No, you know what I feel sad? I just like when he started already, one of the key things I think, we all know, playing at Man United, they have a system how they play. When he started his system, he was already 1-0 behind because people were not used to it. So then the stubborn period came on, you understand, for him not to want to change, but not knowing okay, when you're a young manager, I understand that, but you also have to look at the ones that did it prior to you and showed you that you have to adapt to the situation. He never wanted to change and he carried on. Okay, you go to the final, he loses the final, and then he takes the mic and he gives a speech to the stadium kind of saying we are really bad, and I know we are bad, we're not doing well. You don't do that. You don't really do that at the end of the season. It's Man United. Do that at a lower team, but don't do that at Manchester United. Then you carry on in the season, people start asking you, and then he adapts to his system, and he says I'm doing it now, and he's giving in a little bit, and then still saying oh no, I'm going to go back to the 3 at the back. So what the key thing instead of they wanted stability, and he made it unstable, the club. And I think that is where the question was asked at him.
It's interesting, Mark, that Stevie brought up yesterday, talking about Maresca and obviously Amorim as well. It's saying that he doesn't blame these managers coming out and in the end having a go at the board, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are getting all the blame when things go wrong all the time. So you understand them coming out and trying to put a different argument across.
Yeah, a little bit, but other clubs operate the same system, and you don't hear Arne Slot complaining at Liverpool. People complain about him in terms of Mo Salah, but what I'm saying is it's just that the clubs that are struggling, and I think the managers then want to blame somebody else. And English football is kind of just about getting used to sporting directors, and I think this week the whole Maresca thing and the Man United situation is kind of shone a light on how powerful sporting directors are now, and how much less of a role or a say that coaches have. But I still think if you look at the top 3 in the Premier League, Mikel Arteta, Unai Emery, and who's the other one? Pep Guardiola. They're probably the most in control managers in the country. So it shows that if you have a manager who is allowed to do his job and do the traditional job, then they will be successful. So I can understand Amorim's frustration that he wanted more of a say, but he has been given plenty of rope in terms of what he's had at United. He's had, they brought in plenty of players for him. They've transformed his attacking formation this summer, but he was wedded to this system, and his downfall was not caused by Jason Wilcox or Omar Barada or Jim Ratcliffe or Dave Brailsford. It was caused by himself, by not being flexible enough to realise that his system wasn't working. Now, Craig's right. He said he's successful in Portugal, but so what? His system worked in Portugal. Well, let's be honest, Sporting Lisbon had 2 hard games a season against Benfica and Porto. That system he's got is not stress tested against teams that will make it make it pay, make it suffer. It's come to the Premier League, and straight away the system has been exposed, and he's not changed it. He's had the opportunity to change it. He's played that system with a squad of players that isn't suited to the system. So that's all on him. And ultimately, when the likes of Jason Wilcox are going to Amorim saying, look, why aren't you being more flexible? Why can't you evolve this system? You can't really blame Man United for doing that because it wasn't working. So in many ways, they're basically saying, look, Ruben, change this system, because if you don't, we're going to keep losing games and you're going to lose your job. So they have a responsibility to do that. And managers that don't like it, head coaches that don't like it, is the head coach, not the manager, isn't it? Head coaches that don't like it, they will blame the sporting director. But he picks the team, he picks the tactics. So at the end of the day, he's the guy that's to blame for losing his job, not anybody else.
Do the supporters, Augie, think that Ineos are as clueless as the Glazers? Because at the moment, there's not a lot of evidence to suggest otherwise, is there?
Yeah, listen, the supporters at Man United are I think the majority are glad that Amorim's gone. I think a lot have lost patience, but that it's more than a majority. I think you talk about 95% are anti the Glazers and think that Ineos has done a terrible job, because it's been 2 years now. I think it's pretty much 2 years in February since they took over, and there's been, I can't think of anything they've done that's actually been successful. They've got rid of loads of people at the club. They've cut costs. Man United is unrecognisable from the club it used to be, and that's partly because of what's happened under Ineos. They've stripped it bare. Yeah, I'll give them credit for the signings they made in the summer, because I think Mbeumo's done well. I think Cunha's done well. They've made better signings than they have been making in the last few years, but they still haven't made great signings. So, yes, there's a general sense of fear at United amongst the supporters that this club isn't going anywhere. The club is just heading for the iceberg because there's nobody at the club that's got the experience to make the big decisions. And obviously the next big decision is who comes in to replace Amorim, and when does that happen? Does it happen immediately, or do they limp on until the summer with an interim coach because, there were better coaches available in the summer? Thomas Tuchel, Mauricio Pochettino, Carlo Ancelotti, all out of contract after the World Cup. Do you wait for one of those guys? Or do you say to Darren Fletcher, you're the guy taking us into the Champions League this season, or do you bring in do you try and get Oliver Glasner? It's a difficult balancing act that United have got right now. But the problem is, do you trust people at Ineos to make that decision? And I don't think the fans do, and I'm not sure they should do, really.
It's interesting, Oggy, you mentioned those big names, obviously, who are tied to international teams at the moment: Ancelotti, Tuchel, Pochettino. Does anyone actually want this job?
Well, yes, because at the end of the World Cup, Dan, certainly Tuchel and Pochettino, I guess, will be out of work because I think their contracts end in the summer. I think Ancelotti's ends, but he's got an option. If they're out of work in the summer, and they'll both want to get back to the Premier League, because the Premier League is the best league in the world in terms of eyeballs, in terms of excitement, in terms of money. Now, let's be honest, they've both managed Chelsea. They're not going back to Chelsea. They're not going to go to Arsenal. They're not going to go to Liverpool. The Man City will have different ideas. So Man United will probably still be the best job available in the summer to a top manager. The question is, will a top manager like a Tuchel or Pochettino want to work in that system that Ineos have created? They'll want more say than Amorim had. Yeah. And I think United have to swallow it a bit and say, something, Man United need a big coach that is able to have the personality, the presence to lead the club forward. And it means that the likes of Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox have to take a step back and letting the guy get on with the job that he knows that he's doing, rather than have a novice who doesn't know what he's doing, who can't handle the pressure, who can't handle ex-players and former players, legends saying that you're doing it wrong. They need a big personality that can deal with all that. And for me, that's a Tuchel or a Pochettino or an Ancelotti, but I don't think Ancelotti's a viable option. So they're the obvious candidates. And yes, I do think they'd take the job because it's Man United, and big coaches, as the guys now, have big egos. And at some point, one of these big coaches with a big ego is going to turn Man United around and be the next Alex Ferguson. So everyone thinks it's going to be them. But so far, it hasn't been any of them.
Who would you have, Craig?
Tell you what.
Clean slate. Who would you have?
Well, I'd have people that wouldn't take the job.
Right.
Because they've managed other clubs, like Jurgen Klopp and others. I mean, I think Ancelotti's a little bit long in the tooth for it now, if I'm being honest. I think international football suits him. I don't think I could listen to Thomas Tuchel every week. It'd be good for us.
Yes.
I mean, he would be banging on every 2 days. I mean, he was banging on relentlessly at Bayern Munich about a number 6. Yes. And they had a good side. All right, he wanted Paulinho, he didn't get him. Paulinho, who's not getting a game for Tottenham these days. But he banged on about, I can't do this, and I can't. And Vincent Kompany goes in, been sacked from Burnley, and he's been getting on with it. And Tuchel just banged on about this Bayern Munich squad. I mean, if he's doing that about the Bayern Munich squad, what's he going to do with this? So, I mean, I don't know. I think when one or two of these managers look at it with a more peripheral vision, the whole story, maybe you're right. Maybe one or two of them will go. Well, I know it's Man United. Yeah. But is there anything else around? So
Glasner's obviously out of contract at the end of the season.
Well, look, it's not exactly a razzmatazz signing if it was Oliver Glasner, but it's a proven manager in Germany and England. There is no doubt he can organise, he can get the best out of. There is no doubt he can do that. Now, is it the sort of fireworks, flair, all that? No, it's not. So I don't know what they want. I wouldn't be against Oliver Glasner getting any sort of job if he wanted to leave Crystal Palace. But as I sit here now, I've got no idea. If you say to me, what way should they go? I don't know. I have no idea. And they don't either. That's the problem. This is the same group of people that came in, things are going to be different. If we go back to Ten Hag, the way that they dealt with Eric Ten Hag, he's going to be sacked. He's won the FA Cup, new contract, then sack him. That itself told you there was no real pathway in the boardroom to what the long game was going to be, and there still is not.
Who would you have, Shaq?
The thing is if you really look at what's needed for this job, it's a really short list. I get Glasson, I get Iraola for the jobs that they've done, but can they handle the media pressure that comes with this Manchester United job? I'm not so sure. You probably see the same thing about Pochettino, kind of given how fractured his relationship with the media is here in the US.
Yep.
And that's US
and
soccer media.
Chelsea, obviously.
And so now you end up with, in my opinion, a short list of one in Thomas Tuchel.
Wow.
And because...
Well, once he wins the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. When he wins the World Cup.
when he wins, he might excel. I get that point. But again...
I mean, that's a difficult sell for Man United, because once they absolutely fall flat on their face in North America, England that is.
Yeah, that's true. You get knocked out in the quarterfinals by Croatia.
Well, you started by saying clean slate.
All right.
I'm going with my
But do
clean
you think
slate.
Tuchel really wants that hassle?
I don't know.
With his experience as a
Who
Champions
does?
League winner.
And that's the thing, to your
You know
point.
whose name's on the list again?
Gareth Southgate.
Yeah,
but that was Ashgate. Was it Ashgate? Was that his name?
Brailsford.
We're one of them.
But somebody.
Yes. One of them upstairs.
But to
he's
your
not there
point,
anymore.
if we're talking clean slate,
The bike guy.
big man, Manchester United needs a big manager. Which big manager wants to take on that headache?
Yep.
Given everything that's needed. Squad isn't really that good. You have to replenish. Do you have the money to do it? You're not playing European football. There's a lot to dissuade a big name manager.
Mario, your boy, Van Gaal coming back. Mario Malchior as the assistant.
No, don't do it. They gave him 200 million and he didn't do anything with it. So let's just think about something else now.
Who would you have, Mario?
You know, like I heard the guys talking about Ancelotti, but okay, this may be a big shout for me to call. Why it's a big shout is because he just, he's got the Brazilian job, so he's good. But in the sense of like understanding and how to maneuver yourself through a really difficult situation, like how they highlighted, Man United, big club, Jason Wilco, how does he think? Does he want to bring in a certain guy that is going to tell him how it needs to work instead of him dictating how it should work? So I think at Man United, the situation is going to be, are they willing to back the money again and bring a big guy in? Because they need a big guy. Because the shorter ones, the smaller ones, and I want to give them the respect, they're going to take the job because the job is going to come to you. I would have taken it myself if I wanted to be a coach. But when you are one of those smaller guys, you got to deal with that pressure. It's a lot, because it's from day one. You start, you hear the complaints. If it's not the club, it is the guys that played at the club. And you got to be able to handle that. If you can't, please don't go there.
You wouldn't take Unai Emery at Man United?
Would you leave Villa?
No, I would have grave doubts whether he would. And he's already had a big go at Arsenal, which was a bad timing for him, really, off the back of Arsene Wenger. Something we talked about the other day. I mean, if you give Unai Emery that Arsenal squad now that Arteta's working with, I mean, I'm pretty sure they'd win the league with an experienced manager. But if you're looking at managers just in England alone, and I know United will be looking elsewhere, then you talk about people that have done amazing jobs. It's Glasner and it's Unai Emery, amongst one or two others. Now, Eddie Howe has been doing a decent job, but it's been a bit of a difficult sell this season at Newcastle. Eddie Howe, who was linked with the England job at one point. But, a few of these managers may not want to be prized away from the project they are on, for want of a better word. So, you remember when Jurgen Klopp was leaving Liverpool and they had a bit of time to think about it, it's not easy to go out there, to be fair, and find the right person.
Yeah. So in theory, they'll have time here, won't they? If Fletcher...
I think Darren Fletcher is, he's a very level-headed young guy. He is inexperienced. He hasn't got really any management, but experience.
He's older now. Like you say, he's young. He's just younger than you. That doesn't make him...
Carry on, Craig, carry on.
Is the wound healed? I honestly think the best thing to do, and I know European football may be an issue and maybe a pressing concern, and I get that, is somebody like Darren Fletcher to stay in there, helped by maybe one or two others, till they can somehow make an informed, correct decision. There's no point going out here in the next 2 weeks and rushing into something else that's going to backfire once. if they get it wrong this time, where's the end game?
Yeah.
I'll say this. Yes, you'll have time if you're hiring interim to the end of the season. You've got to ask the question of Emery. You have to ask the question, and
But would you, if you're Unai Emery, Shaq,
right,
would
you have to ask the question.
So from a Manchester United perspective, you have to ask the question, right? You've just got to pray.
Right.
And if he gives you an inkling of hope, you throw the
What if
kitchen
you're
sink at it.
Unai Emery, Shaq?
Now, if I'm Unai Emery, and it depends what they offer, of course, from a financial perspective and backing him in the long run. Aston Villa have their issues financially. If Manchester United throw the kitchen sink at Unai Emery, kind of give him, again...
It's all about the money for you, Shaka.
No, it's all about the money for Unai Emery, Dan.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Mario, you're saying no.
Yeah, but no. I agree. Emery done a great job, but for me, it's like they cannot sack him and not know what they're gonna do. Come on, how you can sack your manager and you have no plan? So you want to tell me they sacked him and they're sitting now around the table and looking at each other and saying like, hey guys, what is our next move? And no one has anything planned. No, the club is too big not to have a plan. So they have to really start stepping up really quickly and get somebody that is capable to do either what they want, you understand? Because clearly we can see like the guys that they bring in was some dictation of what they already had in their mind. But they need someone also can bring the club forward because the way they want to play, this club is known for beautiful football, energy. When you come to that stadium, you kind of have fear. Bring a manager that can create that. If you bring a manager that's just a nice guy and just happy to grab the mic and say, hey, I'm at Man United, no, that's not going to work.
Right, Oggy. Crystal ball time. We know Fletcher's in charge for the next 2 games. What happens after that? Who's in charge of the start of next season?
Yeah, well, I think Mario's kind of giving United a bit too much credit for having a plan before they sack a manager. Because what I've been told is that it will be Fletcher for the next. It'll be Fletcher for the next 2 games, and that's when they'll start looking at a plan. He's buying them some time. They don't actually know right now what they want to do. The inkling right now is that they will stick with Fletcher for 2 games, then find an interim coach to help Fletcher along for the next remainder of the season. Now, an interim coach, they've been down this road before with Ryan Giggs, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Ralf Rangnick. They're trying to find that figure to get them between now and the end of the season so that they can then make an informed choice in terms of the manager going forward. Now, that's the difficult part. Who do you find between now and the end of the season that's willing to do it for 6 months? It's not going to be Gareth Southgate. It's not going to be Enzo Maresca. It's not going to be anyone that's out of work right now because they're not going to take it for 6 months. But they want to get to the point in the summer where they have a coach, manager, whatever they want to call it, who has the credentials to take Man United forward. Now, I think they spoke to Thomas Tuchel. Would it be the summer that Ten Hag stayed? They were very close to hiring Thomas Tuchel, and Thomas Tuchel eventually decided that it wasn't quite for him. I think there was an issue in terms of I don't think he was overly happy with the structure and the selling point at the time. But I think they've had conversations with Tuchel. They like Tuchel. I think Tuchel's the obvious candidate in the summer because if he wins the World Cup with England, he's got nothing else to do, has he, apart from win the European Cup and Premier League with Man United. So there you go. So I think Tuchel is the obvious candidate. But the problem they've got is getting from here to there successfully because it could go south very quickly if they've got an interim coach and another interim coach next week. So that's the issue, getting from here to the summer in some sort of stability and keeping the ship moving forward so they can get into Europe or maybe get into the Champions League.
But we've talked about, right from the start of the show, this is a board who wants to be involved. As Craig said, Tuchel's going to call them out every single match if he doesn't get his way. They're not going to cope with that at all, are they, Mark?
Well, that's the thing that they've got to decide themselves, and they've got to accept that they've got 2 options. They either have a coach that they can control, a malleable coach, a young coach, and they'll keep doing this every 18 months, 2 years. Because, as Mario says, if you can't handle the pressure that comes with managing Man United, if you're too young, too inexperienced, you're not going to work. So they have to accept that you need a guy that's got credentials, experience, personality. Sometimes a prickly personality will make things difficult, a challenging personality, but that is the personality that's most likely to get Man United back to the top. They're going to have to accept that. Omar Barada, Jason Woodcock are going to have to accept that you're going to have to give more authority and, strength to a manager than a guy that's just a coach, because if it's just a coach, it won't work.
This weekend sees the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Of course, these games are available on ESPN. Plus, it all starts on Friday. Wrexham against Nottingham Forest. It's an early start for Everton against Sunderland. These games on ESPN too, including, of course, on Saturday as well, Spurs against Aston Villa, Charlton against Chelsea. Now, there's a lot of speculation as who would be in charge of that game. It looks like it will be McFarlane again. We're expecting the announcement of Liam Rosenior today. That hasn't transpired. Of course, this is a man who we've discussed a lot since the sacking of Maresca. He seems the number one candidate to take over at Stamford Bridge. Mario with us, Oggie's still with us as well. Mark, why is this taking so long? Why not today?
Well, good question. Chelsea haven't actually quite described what's going on, but I think it's a case of just Rosenior wanting to make sure that he's got his role absolutely nailed down as to what he's going to be expected to do. Obviously, he'll expect a pay rise. I'm pretty sure that it's mostly done. He's not going to turn it down, I don't think. He's not going to be deciding that it's too much of a job for him. But look, they've got Fulham away on Wednesday, and whether it's a case of just getting them through the next game, Fulham away is a tricky game. They could lose that game. You don't want your first game as manager to be a defeat against Fulham, and then have an easier game, I guess, against Charlton in the FA Cup at the weekend. But, you know, I don't think there's any kind of obstacles that's going to stop it happening. It's just a case of timing, isn't it? And timing just to get it over the line and get it done properly before Rosenior comes in.
I haven't heard from you on this, Craig. What do you think?
Anybody that's managed Derby is good enough for me. No idea.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, that's. I think if we're honest, I don't think anybody
for 20
does.
odd years now, or really since even, you know, when I was at the club, it was Glenn Hoddle. We're talking about big names. It was Ruud Gullit. It was Claudio Ranieri. I mean, missing people out. Then there was Mourinho.
Yep.
The Abramovich era.
Ancelotti, Conte.
Was nothing but big name after big name. And they were hired and they were fired. But then the next best was brought in.
Yeah.
This is a complete... And they've tried... And this regime have tried that. You know, it was Tuchel was there, Pochettino was there. They had a off-the-cuff with Graham Potter. But this is... And then obviously Enzo Maresca was somewhere in between, having had some, you know, a lot of coaching in Italy and coaching at Man City and then managing Leicester. But this is... We're talking about really, in terms of management, young and inexperienced. Although he has some management experience in England and in France, stepping into that Chelsea dressing room, even though there's no real, you know, there's not a lot of experienced big superstars in there. There's a lot of young, headstrong individuals who are on big money, and you know that's a very inexperienced voice to come in and start, you know, shoving people around. So it's going to be very interesting. Yeah,
Mario, picking up on that point, as a player, what's it like to have someone who maybe doesn't have the experience that matches the club taking over?
As players are like, they're always going to test. It doesn't matter who you are. You understand? They're going to test how far can they go. If someone stands in front of you, he gets a big test, of course, if the team is stuck. And they, like, let's say you're not winning or you draw and you come in at halftime, you expect your manager to put a change in and really have effect on the game. If that doesn't happen for a couple of games, you're going to have players that are going to open their mouth. They're going to be like, they are going to try to give directions. So you got to be big for that. He's a young manager. You understand? Paul Winsley, you understand, one of the sporting directors, they know each other because of, you know, the background of Brighton and stuff like that. So he comes in as a young boy, he gets his opportunity, and I always say that if it comes my way, I would have taken it, so that is normal. But on the other hand, you also have to understand that this heat is going to be really big for him, because you coming in to take a job of someone that clearly couldn't do what he wanted to do, and now you're coming in in the same way. And seeing is like, I don't want to say I know him, but he looks to me like someone that likes to win. And eventually when you win and you get comfortable, you're going to demand certain things that you didn't agree in the beginning. And I think that something similar happened to Maresca. What he agreed in the beginning changed later on because he wanted more influence, more power. And they did not want to give him. And that is what happened. Now Liam is coming. He's going to get similarities. You have to understand that if you, some moments, you got to swallow something. And that might not be the situation you want to be in. So let's see what he's going to do. You footballers are all kids, basically. Kids at school, when the new teacher comes in, seeing what you can get away with. That's exactly the situation that Mario is describing there.
Yeah, pretty much. And
exactly.
That's the issue when you have a young teacher coming in. You know that, and you've taken advantage of many a young teacher.
All right, Jack. But, you know, he's 41. You know, he's older than Amorim. We talk about that.
A dressing room, I'll look to pounce on a weakness.
Yeah.
Because because a dressing room, when things go wrong, will look to apportion the blame, and it won't be, unless you don't like somebody in the dressing room, it won't be in that inner circle. So it has to be that weakness that's somewhere else. It's the blame game. And you know, when things are riding high, you very rarely hear about the blame game.
Sure.
But we've heard it at Man United, we've seen it at one or two other clubs, and I think that is the issue for a younger, and let's be honest about it.
As a player, what would gain your respect as a manager that doesn't have the experience of others coming into a dressing room, first day, first week? What sort of traits are you looking for to think, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing, he's the right man?
Is he walking in, has he got an air of confidence about him? How is he speaking to the players? Is his training good? Is he sort of trying to kiss the backside of one or two others, as if he's in awe of them? You know, you got to. It was a little bit like when Nagelsmann, who had more experience at a higher level at the time, but was very young, went into the Bayern Munich dressing room. He was younger than Thomas Müller and some of the players. Not an easy scenario to go into, because I'm even sure Nagelsmann, who had managed Hoffenheim and RB Leipzig, walked in there thinking, geez, what the hell do these guys actually think of me? I'm going to have to tell them. I'm going to have to tell them.
Right.
I'm telling Tommy Müller what he should be doing, where he should be standing, where I want him. And players can sense when a manager is frightened and weak. And players will sometimes look for that. They won't necessarily give it off and you'll see it, but they'll give you the old and you'll see them sort of gauging the situation.
You are being judged by everyone.
You're being judged by the whole dressing room, and when you walk out that dressing room after having talked to all the players, whether you do it individually in the manager's room or whether you walk around the dressing room, when you walk out that door, players will talk.
Right.
And I'm not suggesting anything bad will happen, but my experience, and I don't know about you, Shaq, is if a coach comes in and the training's horrendous, and players will just sense it straight away and go out his depth.
Right.
From day one.
So here's the conundrum. You have to be an authority. But you're a young manager, in Liam Rosenior's case, 41 years old. You don't have that much experience behind your name in terms of your CV and what you've done. So you have to be an authority, but then that respect is earned, but you haven't really had the managerial career to be able to step in and have that and earn that respect, well, have it be pre-earned. So, and now you're coming into a dressing room with a bunch of players who are highly paid, very well accomplished, and you don't have a CV to match. That is a really tough ask for any young man in that situation.
And it works both ways, because, you know, to give you an example, when Janssen left Celtic in 97-98, Josef Venglos came in. He was at the other end of the spectrum. Venglos had managed the old Czechoslovakia. He'd managed around Europe. He was supposed to be an innovator, but he was well in, I think, in his late 60s when he came to Celtic. And the training was just so weird, right? Within a couple of days, and this is an experienced coach, the players went, This guy's out his depth.
And I imagine, like anything, once that happens, people turn the page. It's very difficult then to get back on board.
And the only way you get back on board is by winning every week. And as we know, particularly in England, that's difficult to do.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Mario, to get that insight within a dressing room like this.
Yeah, you have to get it right as soon as you come in. And also sometimes, you know, what the guys highlighted, the extra thing also, you got to go after, even the big boys in the team, you got to open your mouth against them. If you don't do that, anybody else in your team is going to watch like, okay, he is worried about saying something to them. So you got to come in and you got to say, like, sometimes you have a meeting when you come in and say to the guys, come on, let's have a chat. And you tell them, look, I'm going to demand a lot from you because you're the most experienced one. And then when it comes in the dressing room, you let them know it too. You say, hey, I told you that before. You are going to be very important for this team. So you got to step up and you got to show us that we can count on you. If he doesn't do that, believe me, because, for example, you have a Reece James, you have an Enzo, those kind of guys, we maybe look at them young, but they're the older ones in the team because they're more experienced, they have seen more. That's why they wear the armband. So when they play, I want them to open their mouth. When we're in the dressing room, there are moments, you understand, when you're losing the game. Sometimes I just look at a player. Like, I give an example. When I come in the dressing room and I see Sola and Desai, I just look at them to give me the answer. Because I'm the young boy, I'm 22 years old. I'm expecting them to come with the secrets. And if they don't do it, Yeah, then you look at your coach, and then your coach, like how Craig said, Ranieri, then comes up with the situation. You understand? Even if his English wasn't that good in the beginning, it doesn't matter. Just explain to us what you want us to do. And if it happens, great. So that's what he has to do. His work is going to be in the begin. From the moment he starts, and we're not talking about that, I expect him to play the most beautiful game, but make sure your identity, that's what you have to have in place.
Unexpected point, certainly for anyone who watched their game against Manchester City. City in control for much of the tie, 1-0 up, but then that late equaliser from Enzo meant that it finished 1-1. For City, of course, it dropped points. Arsenal 6 points clear at the top of the table, plus injuries as well. This is what Pep Guardiola had to say about what was going on with regards to the injuries and regards to what's happening with City and Chelsea. The Spaniard, of course, seeing City dropping points, back-to-back games. In fact, they've drawn, obviously, after that 0-0 draw against Sunderland as well. Of course, I have concerns. Have you seen the bench today? 4 players from the academy, and now we will have more. We don't have players. So Mark Ogden is still with us. Oggy, there's all this talk that Semenyo is going to make the move from Bournemouth to City in the January transfer window. I imagine you speak to the majority of City fans now. They're saying, look, Semenyo, definitely not our priority. We need defenders. Vardio out for the end of the season. Of course, Diaz out as well. They already needed support at the back. Now it's emergency time, surely.
Yeah, well, City are considering a move for Mark Gueye at Crystal Palace. Now, we know that Gueye's out of contract in the summer. At the moment, the inclination of Gueye is to stay at Palace and run his contract as a free agent. But if City make a big move, both in terms of wages for him and a fee for Palace, that deal could get done. So City are kind of pivoting towards that as a defender. But I think they'll end up with both. I think Semenyo will be done by the end of the week. It's a January the 10th expiry on his £65 million release clause. I think that'll get done. And then I think you're looking at Gueye. I think money talks, doesn't it? Crystal Palace will take the fee for Gueye, and he will look at it and thinking, well, Man City are going to pay him big wages, got a chance of winning everything this season, so why wait until the summer? So, yeah, I think City will get both deals done, and I think that will make them stronger. They've got players coming back at some point, so they've got a deep squad. They've got some good kids as well. It's not like they've got the weakest squad in the country, but I think that they will add Gueye and they'll add Semenyo before the end of the window.
They sign Etnier, I keep going on about this. They sign him in the summer and play Nico O'Reilly at left back. He's away with the AFCON at the moment anyway, but he wasn't playing.
Yeah,
that's their business. But it comes back to this game yesterday. Where did they get caught out for the equaliser? And I like Nico O'Reilly. I think he's a terrific player, and he does, for the main, a decent job. But Chelsea didn't really attack until the second half, and when they did, we saw the weakness in the full-back areas. Chelsea were horrendous for 45 minutes, embarrassing. And at least they were better in the second half, which is saying something because it was a really low bar. And when they were better, we saw the cracks open up in this Man City team. But they were so wasteful in the ball, City, in the last 10 minutes. It's their own fault. You're giving the ball away in dangerous areas. You are sitting deep. You are allowing your fullbacks to go out and get done in the wide areas late on. And you've only got yourself to blame. Right. They didn't drop points yesterday because of injuries or anything like that. They dropped points because they took a big gun and they shot themselves in the foot.
So are you saying that you could sign Semenyo, you could sign Gueye, and it doesn't make a difference in the title race? The damage has already been done?
Well, if they don't get the defensive, and Stevie and I have piped on about this, and their defensive record at the start of the season was actually decent, but it had no longevity. Not with this group of players in that back four. If they don't sort the defensive aspect of the game out, they're looking at a Barcelona-esque way of trying to win the title, which is, we're a shambles at the back, but we're going to score more goals than you. I don't think that's going to be good enough to overhaul Arsenal.
How much of a difference maker is Semenyo and Gueye, if it happens, Shank?
Well, at the very least, they need Gueye just because of injury issues, and everybody's spoken about Chelsea's equaliser yesterday, 92nd minute. You're playing a high defensive line, even though your 2 starting centre backs are off the park. That's down to Pep Guardiola and Manchester City's approach. Now, the thing with Semenyo is, he makes a difference if you play him. And I say that because watching that game for 90 minutes, that was a hard watch. And I find that City are a difficult watch when they play that kind of narrow attack with Reinders. It's difficult to criticise Reinders, especially when he scores. even more difficult to criticise Bernardo Silva, such an incredible footballer. But they just look predictable. They look slow. They lack that pace. Now you've got Savinho. Okay, he's a little bit kind of inconsistent.
He's not very good.
He's lightweight.
I feel like he's been here so long now.
But my point is, you have Savinho, you have Doku, who play as wide men. And I find that when the front line at the very least is spread out, when you force the defence to kind of spread out to match those wing backs, it affords Erling Haaland more space, and I just feel that City look a better team with wingers on the park. So I say it'll make a difference with Semenyo if you play him. If you stop trying to force this very narrow, talented but very narrow front three, which I think plays into people's strengths. That's not when I feel City are at their best.
If they have no success, if they have no tangible success this year, I don't care if they win the Carabao Cup or something like that, but if they have no tangible success, Premier League, Champions League, or something like that, it's because they haven't addressed the full-back areas. It has got nothing. It will be, in my opinion, it will have nothing to do with who's playing wide right, who's playing wide left, where Foden plays, where Cherky plays, how many goals Haaland scores. If they are unsuccessful, it is because they did not address the right-back position and the left-back position properly.
And by the way, let me just add, Savinho was linked with Spurs in the summer. He could have gone, but they decided to keep him. I can't remember if they extended his contract, but decided to keep him. So now you keep this player who I described as inconsistent, you described as not good enough, but then you complain about how thin the squad is, given how much money you've spent over the last 2 years. The two don't add up for me.
He complained last year that the squad was too big.
Yeah, exactly. So
I've got to pull people aside and tell them they're not playing. Well, you ain't got that problem now, have you? You haven't got it.
The two just do not add up for me, and I'm not giving Pep Guardiola that excuse because I don't give anybody else that excuse.
Mario?
No. Like clearly what the guy said, you understand, I watched the game, I think City, you understand, they had so many opportunities to win the game because they were from the get-go, Estevao had the opportunity to score prior, the first couple of minutes, and then the whole game changed. You understand, it was City all over, all the opportunities, all the chances they got, and then they go towards the end. When you see that happening, you understand, you look at it, you think what was the plan? Because you knew that it wasn't, they had 10 minutes to go before the game finished. You don't go that deep, and you don't stand that way. You understand, in the sense of you block that. You don't go because O'Reilly was really committed to it, and he was playing against an attacker against a defender. Because Malagus is a defender. He slips the ball past him and he goes in. So for me, when I watched the game, I felt like Chelsea. The biggest problem for me sometimes with Chelsea is this: the wingers sometimes don't know what. They don't see the free man, or when they see him, they don't pick him out. I watched Neto the whole game. So many bad decisions he was making. He runs, he dribbles past people. Sometimes he can deliver the ball to someone else. He just doesn't see the person. And then you have more wingers like that. They bring on people on, and they don't have that creativity. You don't want to tell me that Palmer is the only one that sees things. Everybody can see things. But they don't see it sometimes. And then when you watch City play, the way they play, like the guys talk about, you don't want Gay to go or Semenyo. The only thing that I say, if Semenyo comes and he plays Semenyo, he plays on the right and Doku on the left, it becomes a big problem for the opponents because you don't know how you're going to, because now you can double up when you have one winger that's fast. But when you have two of them, it becomes an even bigger problem for them.
Declan Rice, once again, superb. Gyökeres, once again, anonymous. Now, I want your view on this, guys, because you played and you can smell whether or not this is true. It's tough for him because he's got two defenders on him all game, all over him. So he has to use his strength. He has to do all he can to help the team. And with my first goal, without him, making that run from Gabriel Martinelli's flick and holding it, settling it off to Martin, that goal wouldn't have happened. Trust me, he's doing unbelievable for us, and we wouldn't be where we are without him. Right, you played the game.
Very kind.
Tell me, is this...
I've got a bit of a cold, but I can still smell a bit of BS.
Right. Yeah, right.
If you brought Kai Havertz back into the team, or Gabriel Jesus, who's fit again, would you see a tangible drop-off in Arsenal's performances? I think the answer is no.
Right.
And I think that's where we are. I think everybody's looking for an excuse for him. It's not just Gyökeres' fault. He's got a certain style of play and Arsenal do things a little differently, right? But at the end of the day, the manager has been given this player, or was part of the process of selecting this player, because everybody said he needed a number 9, which we think he did. So I think there is going to be patience with him, but Arsenal are not here. Like City are probably where they are because Erling Haaland started the season like a house on fire. Victor Gyökeres has really not set anything alight thus far, if we're being honest about it.
To that statement, let's be honest. If you're playing against a back four, every single striker is playing with 2 centre-backs on them. So I don't know.
It's not a new thing, is it?
Exactly. I don't know why Declan Rice feels the need to point that out. Every single player, every single striker, every single number 9 is playing up against 2 centre-backs. And ultimately, strikers will tell you they are judged on one thing and one thing only, goals. And right now, Gyökeres does not have that. Now, Arsenal may very well, and it looks likely they're going to win the league. I think that's in spite of Gyökeres, as opposed to because of Gyökeres.
Declan Rice is the best player in the world. He's saying this.
Yeah, no. And any player in that position coming out of that dressing room would say exactly the same thing. But we all know it's nonsense.
I mean, if you could argue that Manchester City don't play to Erling, and certainly haven't for a lot of the time, play to Erling Haaland's strengths. And yet his goal-scoring record is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And even in games where he's been criticised for having probably single-digit touches, his stats will tell you the guy's just a machine in front of goal. If you had Erling Haaland in this Arsenal side, the league would probably be already over.
Right.
That's the difference. Because he is a top-class striker, one of the best in the world. At the moment, Victor Gyökeres is a big, bustling forward who's banging into people and not doing a lot else. That's just fact. Arsenal are top of the league, 6 points. Not an issue. Had they been 6 points behind Man City at the moment, you trust me. And Victor Gyökeres had been playing exactly the same way. But Declan Rice hadn't stood up. Eze hadn't come in and did a job. Odegaard wasn't back. Saka wasn't scoring goals. And they were behind the pace. Mikel Arteta, every press conference, the question would have been, what's wrong with Victor Gyökeres? But that's not there at the moment because they're top of the league.
Mario, as a former defender, what do you make of this?
No, I agree with the guys because they're winning, you understand, so the pressure is less for him. But you remember when Jesus was going through that period too, he wasn't playing that well. We were complaining about that too. Now, Gyökeres, the only thing I have is that sometimes I feel like he looks also a little bit shy. He gives me a feeling. I don't, like strikers are normally like, he has that body, he has that strength, but I don't feel like he is like, he want to expose himself and being part of the joy that the team is playing with in the sense of like the skill wise. He's just like, you understand, he's more like, I try to hold the ball up, I try to be tough, but I just want to see more like, okay, we know in Portugal he did his thing, but then in Everton he also went, to a Coventry. So I want to see a player that's more used to the English type of playing and add your skill to it and gamble more a little bit, because sometimes the way he gambles and it's more in the safe side. I want him to see like a real striker that gives the defenders something to think about, and at the moment I don't feel that much. But what Rice said, Rice is arguably one of the best players, so that's normal that he said that.
But if Arsenal win the league, this is not really a discussion, is it? Because they will, Arsenal will paint it as a way, well, he was a foil for the other things we did well. So it will all boil down to whether Arsenal are successful in winning the Premier League. If they are, Gyökeres' performances will be a moot point to an extent.
Well, no, he's the difference maker. He's the difference between last year, they finished second, Gyökeres comes in.
I get the feeling, Oggy wants to talk about Ineos again.
Oggy's, be pleased to know he's not getting paid by the word today. Oggy, do you want to say anything about anything that we've discussed before you go?
Oh, this is on Victor Gyökeres. I've seen him a few times, and I think he is all about work rate and playing for the team, and he's not scoring the goals, but he's doing better than Benjamin Sesko. And I think it's ironic that
Shaka's doing better than Benjamin Sesko.
But a lot of big clubs are trying to sign centre forwards.
2 weeks ago, you were giving Sesko, you were blowing smoke up his backside, saying give him time.
Yeah,
do you remember? We found a new Don Hutch. Can't remember what he said 2 weeks ago.
That was before I saw him at Leeds. So I've changed my mind. But a lot of big clubs have tried to sign centre forwards in recent years. Darwin Núñez at Liverpool, they haven't quite worked. So when you get a Haaland or an Isak when he's fit, that's why they are worth the weight in goal, because the ones below that level are just not good enough. And I think, Gyökeres has done okay, but like the lads are right. If they were second or third in the table, we'd be putting a lot more focus on him, and a lot more press conferences would be asking Arteta about why he's not scoring goals. But he's getting away with it a little bit because they're top of the league. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal could have had Sesko. It was a case of Sesko or Gyökeres, wasn't it? So that shows you the kind of levels we're looking at this summer when players are moving around and centre forwards at the top of people's lists.
Meanwhile, Celtic have sacked their manager, losing 6 games out of 8. Not enough as he is gone. He leaves Celtic 6 points adrift of Hearts at the top of the table. Former manager Martin O'Neill to come in and take charge till the end of the season. Your thoughts, Craig?
In some sense, I feel a bit sorry for the guy because he went in. It's a great opportunity. We saw what it did for Ange Postecoglou, coming from Japan, Australia to Japan to Scotland, built his profile up, got a big job in the Premier League. So I feel a bit for him, but losing 6 out of 8 at that club, it just can't happen. If somebody said to you, "Here's the job, go in and lose your first 6 games out of 8," you'd say, "I'm not sure I could do that."
Right. And he's done it.
And he's done it. And the fans were killing him, and some of the board members have been... the recruitment has gone as well. So it was not just him. I think 3 or 4 staff, all on 2 or 3 year contracts, and the head of recruitment, they've all gone. The board are a shambles. And unfortunately, that job was, Columbus Crew, Major League Soccer, fine. But that's managing a completely different beast. And he just wasn't up to the task, unfortunately.
Just a reminder, the January transfer window is well and truly open. To keep up to date with all the latest rumours, be sure to check out Transfer Talk on ESPN.
Oh, boy.
Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Mario is with us, full of smiles. Mario, how was your festive period? All good? New Year's Eve good? Where did you spend it?
Oh, very good. At home, family, eating, having fun with them, just enjoy my time. And now it's all white in the country, all snow. It's really beautiful now.
Yeah, same here as well.
Yeah,
beautiful
nice.
is a stretch. It's annoying.
Ireland,
LA. Yeah, just naming.
No, Amsterdam. Amsterdam.
Yeah, just naming places. Yeah, good. Anything else?
You're disappearing?
There's a question about that later on, Shaka's disappearance. The last 2 winners of the Premier League Manager of the Month are now gone. Amorim and Maresca. If you're a manager in the Premier League, how much job security do you really feel like when you're working for a club? So that results, isn't it?
Amorim Manager of the Month was almost like a prize, wasn't it?
It was a prize, that's why it's an award.
Not a prize.
It's Manager of the Month prize.
Huh?
Manager of the Month prize.
Get a little trophy.
He wasn't Manager of the Month, was he, really? He wasn't.
Were you ever Player of the Month? Did they have those sort of things back in the day? I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? What did you get?
Prize.
You must have had champagne.
I got a couple of old bottles in the house.
Oh, they'll be. I'm surprised you haven't opened them in desperate time.
Well, I wasn't aware, because I'm not really a champagne drinker. I wasn't aware that it actually goes off, doesn't it?
Of course it goes off, yeah.
I didn't know
Everything
that.
goes off pretty much, doesn't it?
I didn't know that. I didn't know alcohol went off.
Oh, there we are.
I thought alcohol was good. It's alcohol.
Well, sell-by dates on it, doesn't it? So
Yeah, it was sell-by dates and everything.
Yes, because most things go off.
Sell-by
didn't
dates and
realise,
honey.
like-
Honey doesn't go off.
No?
No.
What doesn't go off?
Honey.
Don't come.
Welcome to Naked Gunny ESPN FC.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
I'm a honey expert.
Oh, really? Mario, what the heck are we talking about?
Want to rephrase that?
Where do you stand on honey?
Edit this part though, it's all right.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, man.
Right, Shaka, of the 3 managers sacked this week, Maresca, Amorim and Nancy, who could more likely save the Hammers from relegation
Oh
this
God,
season?
no, nobody can say that.
Wow.
Nobody can say that. You can't lose. 3-0 down at half-time against Wolves.
No.
What about their game? They're
Yeah.
playing Nottingham Forest. As we speak, it's tomorrow.
Okay.
You're watching this on YouTube, which you will. You might be watching this tomorrow.
Right.
You might even
that
be
is
watching this
today.
on Wednesday, and you will know the result. However, they are playing Nottingham Forest. That's a huge game now, Shaq. Massive game. I would suggest, and I mean
It's
this.
crazy.
whoever loses that game could be fired. Bearing in mind we know how Marinakis is at Forest.
No. Surely he's done enough, hasn't he, Dyche, to steady the ship?
Have you been following recent results?
Oh, I see he's obsessed now.
No.
He's been down to Nottingham for a week.
Yeah.
I don't think Dyche is in trouble. My sources at Nottingham say different.
Lost against Everton, City,
Yeah, so then we
and Villa last 3 games, and they have a crackers owner.
Mario, if you're starting a club, who would you have in charge, Maresca or Amorim?
Maresca? No, Maresca.
Maresca?
Maresca.
Yeah.
If I have to pick between them two, then I pick for Maresca. Yeah, of course. You understand? Give him the feeling like he's the guy, because he's definitely one of those guys that wants to be in charge. Amorim, no, he's too hard-headed for me. He doesn't want to change anything.
Yep. Maresca?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
I concur.
For Craig, start, bench or drop in terms of who you'd rather go on a night out with for a couple of pints. Carnival with Shaka next month, Mario in LA, or Dan in his Madrid heyday?
Oh boy.
No, because you're
In Madrid,
you're really just down the Irish pub.
Where on earth do you think everyone else is going to take you?
I'm
Don't
Two
worry.
of you would
No
rather
Irish
go
pubs
there.
in Carnival.
Right.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
I'm not. Listen,
Right.
I'm a
So
little.
would you wear feathers like Shaka does?
I don't have feathers.
Craig half naked.
Hey!
Craig half naked ruin Carnival. You'll get cancelled.
We'll put it on me.
Hey, Chuck, I'm worried, man. What they saying out there, man? You're doing crazy stuff out there, man. I'm worried. I'm worried.
No, we're all right. We're all right.
Craig in feathers.
Well, you're last for 2 reasons. One, you got the Irish pub, and 2, you're not drinking these days.
No.
And
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, so you're last.
Right.
I could do a bit in Miami with
Right.
Mario.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't touch a drop of the sauce,
No.
so that's me on my own again.
But it doesn't matter, Greg. You can have fun. I will make you laugh and have enjoy.
No,
Don't. I wouldn't. This is not company you want out, Mario. Let's be
Mario,
honest.
you don't want to go out with me. Trust me.
Trust me.
I have seen
No,
this
I think
man.
Greg will be a good night out. I
We've
think
had a
Greg
few
will be a good
drinks
night.
over the years, but I have seen him. With the bourbon. Whoa, I say squadron leader. He can down that bourbon.
Right. So you're half naked at
Not
the
that I'm a
carnival.
bourbon drinker. I'm not. Half naked?
Yes.
Oh no, fully naked.
Carnival's definitely back on.
He'll be running for the beach. Shaka's a winner.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
At least it's warm.
And that's a month off.
It is a month off.
Because he never takes anything else in a month off.
No, that's it. A month off, Shaq. When does it start? When's Carnival?
Carnival is the 16th and 17th. 16th and 17th.
Okay, all right. So why are you going on February the 1st?
I'm not going to February 1st.
Oh, Shaq. Start, bench or drop, coaching, managing these clubs. Okay, which would you choose between these 3, Mario? Chelsea, Manchester United, Spurs.
In Norwegian racing, what? Was that bench drop coaching manager these clubs? I dropped Tottenham Hotspur. Why would I drop somebody else?
Yeah.
That's got to be the first on the list that I drop.
Yeah.
And I'll coach Chelsea, and I will, make Man U be my second choice.
Okay.
My first choice will be Chelsea.
Shaka?
I'd start Man U, Chelsea, Spurs.
You'd choose Man U?
Yeah.
For what reason?
What is Shaka giving a reason?
Just feel like it.
What about you?
Currently, with the playing squad?
Absolutely, currently, yes.
Chelsea, Tottenham, Man U.
Oh, your love of Chelsea continues.
Yes.
What's something you're terrible at that people assume you're good at?
Basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
He's terrible. He would not have made the Scotland
You're
under
good
15s.
Ah, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really bad.
Yeah,
I was going to say
all right.
broadcasting.
Well, we can all be there. Craig, something you're bad at? I'm trying to think what you're bad at. Socialising, I suppose.
I think you're wrong there. As you well know, away from here, social animal. What am I bad at? Lots of stuff.
Oh, well, let's have one of them then. Here we go.
Well, help me out.
Well, I don't know.
What am I bad at?
I don't know. Doing what you're told,
Bad at, what I'm bad at.
letting the others speak. Mario?
bad at, you call it sport. I think NFL, man, I can't even catch that ball, man. If they throw it at me, that's why I have respect for those guys.
Yeah.
The way they catch it, I'm like, they're good. Me, I'm not, no. I'll be running that fast and try to catch it like that. Okay, maybe with football players, so you can control it with your foot, but in your hands, no, I will not be good for them.
Craig was all about the NFL today, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
What happens when you score a try? What's that thing called?
Yes.
Touchdown.
Would you get the ball back?
I was all over the Steelers-Ravens last night, right at the end.
There we go.
I reckon I could have kicked better than those two at the end.
Really?
Yeah. How much are they getting paid, these kickers?
I don't know.
Can't get it through the big sticks from 30 yards.
Oh, those big sticks.
My wife had me watching a British series on Netflix.
What were you watching?
Runaway, it's called. It's good.
Okay.
Maybe
finished
she was
it
just
last
hoping.
night.
Nothing.
Here's a hint.
Hint.
That is it then. That brings us to the end of today's show. So you're off tomorrow now. You're supposed to be on, but you're off. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, good, I'm on. We will be, of course, discussing in theory, I suppose, the signing of Rosenior to make it official. One of our sources on the show said it'd be today, but obviously not. Stay tuned then, and we'll be looking ahead to the midweek fixtures and the Spanish Super Cup.